You know, the parents ain't got to join that organization. I would not join. I definitely wouldn't join if I saw this, because it would be like you wouldn't know, you don't know who's who. So your kid is probably in more danger being in that organization than they would be being outside of the organization. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Dory and welcome. So before we get into this video, make sure you are subscribed because I will be doing a lot more. So enough of the small talk, let's get into this document. My question to anyone who is watching this, how is this up on their site? And I got this directly from the jw.org site. If you look at number 3, okay, it says Jehovah's Witnesses abhor child abuse. They recognize that the authorities are responsible for addressing such crimes. Let's just stop right there. The elders do not shield any perpetrator of child abuse from the authorities. Okay, so my confusion is number 3, which is Jehovah's Witnesses abhor child abuse and view it as a crime. Then we go to number 10 and says child abuse is a serious sin. If the alleged abuser is one of Jehovah's Witnesses, the elders conduct a scriptural investigation. And if he is alleged, or what if he's a criminal? Okay, this is purely religious proceeding. A congregant who is an unrepentant child abuser is expelled from the congregation. So what if he is a fake unrepentant? What if he's really not repentant and he just says he does just so he can get over to touch another child? Dangerous. So that's where my confusion is. While they say they view it as a crime, it clearly shows the way in which it is handled amongst the elders is as a sin and not as a crime. The police are the authorities. So my question is to parents. Parents are not contacting the police because of the Jehovah's Witness culture. The minute they find out something has happened to their child, the first person they call is not the police, it's the elders, who then call the branch office. See, it's a wonder to me why a crime committed against a Jehovah's Witness child brought to the elders in the first place. That would mean it falls on the parent. Ultimately, the parent is the one that's supposed to be watching their child to make sure that a predator doesn't get them. This is why this is a hot mess. And this is why they are able to get away with the mishandling of child abuse. And the only person I see that really suffers in this entire scenario is probably the child. Because from the time that it's being done to the child, or something's being done to the child, up until it's actually told to the parent, up until it's actually told to the authorities, there's a huge window, and there's also probably a statute of limitations in there where it seems like it boils down to the mind of the parents. So if the parent doesn't view rape or molestation as a crime, they are not going to report it to the police. But like I said, number 3, they said Jehovah's Witnesses abhor child abuse and view it as a crime. So that will lead me to this question. If it is a crime and it's reported to the elders first, reported to the police, is wrong, because the fact that the parent doesn't immediately report it to the police before going to the elders, that's another reason why it sets up this big confusion when it comes to the mishandling of it. It's looking like it always centers back to the parent, who either views molestation and rape as a sin only, which means if you view molestation as a sin, then you're more than likely only going to report it to the congregation elders. If you don't view it as a crime, the chances of you reporting it to the police is slim to none. Basically, in the eyes of a Jehovah's Witness parent, the police work for Satan. So you would not, in the mind of a Jehovah's Witness parent, report such a crime to the police. That's where the unfortunateness for the child comes in. If the child is telling the truth, the parents should be treating this individual, this person, this perpetrator, this sex offender as a worldly person. They're not a Christian if they touched their child. And then my other question is, well, if the abuser knows the game and simply repents because he knows he can just go to another kingdom hall and touch another kid, this sets it up for more predators to into that organization. It's definitely easy to touch a kid, even if you're caught, and then it'd be your word against theirs. And then even if they feel you are unrepentant or repentant, what if they feel you're repentant and you're clearly unrepentant? What if you're a repeat offender? Oh, it just sets up this dynamic that regardless, the kids are like in trouble. In my case, when I was being raised, my parents were extremely overbearing and overprotecting of us. Just the fact that you have to be overbearing, super restrictive, that right there should wake anybody up to this organization. Why should a parent have to be that cautious or that overprotective of their kid just to protect them? They wouldn't know, and they wouldn't even be aware. And then they have to actually believe the kid. But the fact that they bring it to the elders first just speaks in volumes. And that's just kind of sad for the kid, because basically if a kid has been molested or raped, they run and they tell their parent because they're a minor. And the parent then does not call the police because the parent does not view molestation or rape as rather they view it as a sin. And that's why they immediately go to the elders in the congregation. Spiritual investigation. The elders have all these cases because as this happens to the child and it gets reported, so they have millions and millions of scriptural investigations where they've taken detailed notes of what occurred, have made the determination why an investigation, why are notes being taken. And these are the notes that law enforcement or court is going to subpoena. But now it's also being told that those notes that they take are destroyed once the law is involved. Like, that's got to be a very, I don't even know, y'all. In conclusion, it falls back on the parents. This is why some of the lawsuits just keep falling through, because if it's the parent who is basically the ones mishandling this, they should be held accountable. Who can only treat, it's just an all-out crapshoot. They pretty much get away with it because basically the Kingdom Hall is going to turn around to the parents and say, you aren't watching your kid, you're not keeping a good eye out on your child, this is your fault. That's what they say when the parent's kid get touched. So the parent feels this immense amount of guilt for failing as a parent because they obviously weren't watching their child 24/7. So the responsibility falls on the parent, and the watchtower is out of the loop. I just don't understand that if something occurred and your kid told you it did not happen on the Kingdom Hall premises and it happened in the home, why the parents will be going to the elders in the first place? Because a crime was not committed in the Kingdom Hall, it was committed in your house or in somebody's backyard or at a family picnic or a congregation picnic or wherever this crime occurred. It was always still going to fall back on the parents because the parents were notified of the crime and they refused to take it to the police. And the only person that suffers in this is the child because they did the right thing, they told their parents, and then it's just, let's go tell the elders and leave it in Jehovah's hands. Crazy. Anyway, I bet you all are just wondering like what my interest is with this. God, it's a long story what my interest is. It was my father handled the case, but he was deleted after the case, so I don't know if he just got thrown under the bus, which I think that's what they do, because I feel like as an elder you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I don't really know the facts of the case, but I do know my father was deleted for a child abuse case, and I also know of a child abuse case, like, and if it's a family member. What if the perpetrator is a family member or an uncle or a cousin? This just makes it that much more difficult for anybody they're not going to report it to the police, because some people genuinely don't like the police, especially a Jehovah's Witness parent. They don't even trust the police. They don't trust anything in the real world. Everything in the real world is ran by Satan in the eyes of a Jehovah's Witness parent. So the chances of a parent reporting sexual abuse to authorities is slim to none. I remember my mother shared her assault with me and told me that it was her fault. She literally victim blamed herself and said it was her fault. It was her fault. She was assaulted by a family member. It was her fault for being a woman. And I'm alluding to this because that will probably be somewhere down the line in another video. Yeah, they victim blame to like the 30th degree. If you get raped, if a woman gets raped, somehow they play and perform mental gymnastics on the women in there, and the women leaves those elders meetings the thought that it was her fault. Another problem I had, I'm going to allude to another video, is when you go before their judicial committee or whoever, why is there not a woman present in that room when you're talking to 3 men? Why can't a woman speak and have a woman present? Those questions that they ask are so sexually charged and so inappropriate. But again, it still falls on the person, the individual. It depends on you. If you're a grown woman, why would you go into a room with 3 men who are then going to investigate and analyze your situation with a fine-tooth comb, take notes on it, only to kind of tell you that it's going to go in Jehovah's hand? This is just the way that they handle it. The parents are programmed and conditioned that you don't go to the police for anything because you don't trust the police. The police is Satan's agents. They work for Satan. So in the mind of a Jehovah's Witness parent, they're going to report that sexual abuse to the elders as a sin and not report it to the actual police as a crime. So in this document, it clearly shows that they view child molestation as a crime, but you don't take it to the police. There's a huge discrepancy in there, but the mind of the parent is what we're talking about. The mind of the parent. Sadly, this child is just in danger and at risk. There's a reason why it's very difficult to sue the organization if you have been sexually assaulted as a minor, because the responsibility is gonna go circle right back to your parent. And the organization is going to wipe their hands clean. They may just settle out of court, such as in that Lopez case. There's a kid, I can't remember, I just got his name off the top of my head. It was $35 million he won, but he settled for an undisclosed amount because I think it was in Montana, Jehovah's Witnesses said, it's not our responsibility to tell anything. It's not our responsibility. It's the parents that should be watching their kid. So anyway, I would love to know what you all think. Make sure you drop a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. I'm just basically breaking it down to why they kind of get away with it. The parents are the ones that are responsible, sadly. And if the parent wakes up later on, it's still tough because it's like, well, you refuse to report that to the police. Don't say they told you. Don't say they coerced you. Don't say they brainwashed you. You can imagine being on the stand like, well, my kid got abused because I was brainwashed. I mean, I don't know if that's an excuse in the eyes of the law. So anyway, I really like to know what you guys think about this. What do you guys think? I think it's ridiculous. So let me know what you guys think about this. That's all I kind of have right now, because I'm trying to keep these short and sweet. I just want to put my thoughts out there. It all boils down to the parent, sadly. Anyway, period. So let me know what you all think, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye.